What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Bonji. I know I look high as hell right now. I promise you I'm not. It is 7:07 in the morning, and you're probably wondering why I'm up this early with no fucking sleep recording a video right now. It's because I ain't got nothing better to do. Alright, fuck you. But check me out though. So while I was laying in bed, scrolling through YouTube, trying to wind down, I thought about a old video that was on Twitch. Now let me just give you guys the background. So the background is basically that around 2020 and 2021, I did a live debate slash discussion in a Discord server that I'm still in to this day by the name of Blue Politics. And I was a lot more left oriented, I would say, based off of my own assessment of me back in the day compared to now. I was definitely left wing. So when we were having this discussion, I don't remember what the subject was about in particular, but I do remember that around some point we ended up discussing colorblindness. And I remember I'm cringing just thinking about it, but I remember how cringe my argument was looking back at it, because the views that I had back then absolutely do not align with the views that I have today, not even remotely close. It's somewhat understandable why a lot of people tend to argue that I'm right wing now, even though I'm really not, right? But this is an argument that I was making about colorblindness and why it's actually better to see race as compared to not seeing race. And because I hate myself, I'm going to record this, me reacting to that old Twitch clip and cringing to the takes. And, while it probably wasn't much said, it's only a 13-minute long video, I'm going to address certain arguments that I make throughout the video. And yeah, we're gonna get right into it now. So yeah, that's why I got a bonnet on and shit like that. Is because it's early. I didn't go to bed yet, and I'm probably gonna be asleep all fucking afternoon after I'm done recording this shit. But hey, once I get my mind set to something, I'm just gonna do it right then and there, because I ain't got nothing better to do, right? So we're gonna go ahead and watch this bullshit right here. So yeah, let's get it.
Expressed in some way, and you're definitely correct on everything you say as well. I definitely agree. That was mostly my point.
I kind of want to bring it back to what Tim and Texan brought up. The statement, "I don't see color," and why, me personally, I believe it's very ignorant, because first and foremost, the origins of that terminology. Hey, I'm 100%. Oh shit! I didn't mean to take it off full screen. Hey, no cap, no. I'm gonna 100% definitely put a counter for, like, probably up here or up there somewhere, or for just like surveying how many times I said how many times I probably said, like, essentially just said words that I did not know what meant at the time because I was trying to sound smart. Oh god damn, bro. And like, look. This is so bad. Like, if you look, I'm about to bully the fuck out of myself real quick, bro. But like, actually look at this. Nah, bro. Nah. Actually look, bro. Look at how fucking horrid, bro. Like, let me put y'all on, bro. this was during COVID. And you see how I got facial hair right now? I had no facial hair. I was like, had to be just turned 19 around that time because I definitely wasn't 18 because when I turned 18 I was still pretty skinny, but this was definitely when I was around 19, and you see I was a lot more heavy that time, man. I swear on my cousin's grave, bro. If I would have saw me walking down the street, I would have bitch slapped me. Look at how slappable my face is, bro.
Sorry, you have a very slappable face.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to bully myself. I don't mean to bully myself, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We gonna get right back into it. I just had to address that because, nah, the look was not it, bro. Especially not the head, bro. I could only imagine the headset head that I had right after I took the headset off, bro. It was absolutely horrid, bro. I hated everything about it. Hold on.
Color and why
Oh
me
yeah.
personally I believe it's very ignorant because first and foremost the origins of that terminology was more woke as compared to now. The
It's more
reason why I would
liberal.
the reason why I would even go to say now
Well,
that
it
it
was
was that
woke.
that terminology is more so
That's what I'm doing
whitewashed
during the day.
is because you had a lot of people
Playing with space
who and don't hold me on this, but you had a lot of people who generically had a lot of implicit racism, which is pretty much inner racism that is unknown. So they would go off of the premise, I don't see color, I don't know why, and I don't know why essentially you would want to see color. But here's the thing, especially in these times and especially in the early times, I would even go as far to say is that we want you to see our color. We want you to see the diversity.
I'm regretting my decisions. I'm regretting all of my decisions right now, bro. Because it's like, dude, dude, like if I was talking to myself, like if this was 22-year-old Bonji talking to Hannibal, then I would 100%. I would flame the shit out of myself for saying some shit like that. Because no, no, I'm not gonna say we, because I can only speak for myself. I don't want you to see my race. I really don't. There's no utility to it. So if I'm walking down the street and I'm or like not even walking down the street, if I'm walking into a building and I'm trying to make a name for myself, I would have asked myself during, if I were to have that conversation with me, I would have asked myself, what utility does it serve to display me being a black man above me being a man, if you know what I mean, right? So, what I mean by that is that if I'm going into a building looking for an opportunity, or if I'm going into a building looking to advertise myself as, this Uber YouTube content creator, or, trying to attribute some of my skills, such as photography or what I used to do in graphic design back when I was like in high school or something like that, right? Like, I would want them to see my skills before I would want them to see my skin color. And that's not to say that I don't have certain experiences as a black man that might be unique to some of my friends and some of my acquaintances, peers, if you would. But overall, the experiences that I have compared to the other is irrelevant when it comes to my merit and when it comes to my ability, if that makes sense. So, no, no, I don't. I don't want you to see race. I really don't. I don't think that anybody should want you to notice that, oh, this is a black man, or this is a Latina woman, or this is a Chinese transvestite. Like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. It serves no utility. What abilities do you have? Let's look at your merit before we look at your skin color or any other identity that honestly means fuck all when it comes to what you can do and what you bring to the table. Let's get right back into it.
Diversity within our culture, and when you when you have that common pushback, when you say something that's very sketchy and very racist, implicitly speaking, then
When you say something sketchy and when you say something implicitly racist, I can hear myself breathing. Dude, shut up.
the one thing you say right after that is, "Oh, I don't see color." That's that's kind of a cop out, and it's kind of a generic excuse as to what you just said. And I me personally, I kind of find it ignorant because I mean, I want you to see the benefit of the diversity that me and my people bring to the table. You
What's
know
the
what I'm
Right,
benefit
saying?
but
of
what you're
diversity?
Like
saying? Oh no, no, I don't
like
want to get into that. Like, please, like what you're saying here, though, here to like you're
Before I let Tim go, I just need to address a few things that was said. So, the first thing in regards to the overall characteristics, like let's just play this back just so I can make sure I'm still manning myself, because I'm sorry, bear with me. Like I said, it's past 7 in the morning, so what I just said probably 15 seconds ago didn't even dawn on me. So let me just make sure that I heard what I said correctly.
that's that's kind of a cop out, and it's kind of a generic excuse, implicitly speaking. Then the one thing you say right after that is, "Oh, I don't see color." That's that's kind of a cop out, and it's kind of a generic.
Okay, so I get the premise of what I was trying to basically assess, right? Is that when old, we're talking about old sayings such as "I don't see race" or "I'm colorblind," shit like that would usually be said after saying or doing something racist, which it is true. It's true. You definitely have some moments, and you definitely have some experiences where you had probably your typical generic old boomer white person say or do something just completely uncalled for that was probably racist, and then as soon as you call them out for it, it's be like, "I don't see color," or "I have a cousin whose girlfriend's whose little brother is black," or some shit like that. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. It clearly doesn't. It doesn't need to be argued whether or not that means anything. But the reality is, though, is that this doesn't really bring into the scope. See, I could still man the position that I'm saying right now, but it's sort of straw manning the initial position of colorblindness. And I can't fault myself for that because I wasn't fully educated on the scale of colorblindness and what it actually meant and the utility of it. So, one thing that I would implore you, if you're watching this, to do is first to read up on Thomas Sowell and what he wrote about colorblindness and what he wrote about the differences between the black redneck and the white liberal. Like those books that he wrote in congruence to this particular issue, I think really dives deep into what's being discussed even right now in regards to colorblindness and the utility of seeing race overall, right? Whether or not you should deliberately see race and utilize that in a metric of being more, what's the word? Uh, Observant to other people and more noticing to their, you know, personal experiences and whether or not that actually matters, right? So, yeah, I've definitely seen those types of people who have used that cop out uh, for colorblindness, and my response to that would be that this isn't what colorblindness is. This is just a cop out of this is just a cop out for racist people to justify their racism without actually fully accepting why they're being confronted about it, what they said or did that was actually wrong, and then having a conversation there after that. Um, and yeah, but yeah, that's enough of me rambling. Let's get right back into the video. We're only a minute and 50 in. I'm gonna try and pause it as little as possible, but there's a lot that's going to be said. This guy in the middle who's going to end up addressing my argument, that's Tim. Hi, Tim. I know you're watching this. Yeah, he is the owner of BP, and yeah, I'm going to leave a link to BP in the description below, so if you guys ever want to just, give that server a look, by all means, I'm in there every so often. I used to be there every day, but I got shit to do now. So we're trying to get all that together. But if you see me in there, you see a character by the name of Bonji with Kanye West PFP, that's me. Yeah. All right, let's get back into it.
Excuse as to what you just said, and me personally, I kind of find it ignorant because I mean, I want you to see the benefit of the diversity that me and my people bring to the table.
What's
You know
the
what I'm
benefit of
saying?
What
diversity?
you're
My
saying?
people.
Oh no, I don't want
Like,
to get into that. Like,
my
please,
people.
like what you're saying here, though, Hairdo, like you're objecting to the statement by focusing on a really fucking ignorant person using it in a really bad way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like
The
if an
statement
ignoramus
itself.
said this, it
One
would be
second, Sorgi.
ignorant.
The
But
statement
that's the
itself.
thing. A
like,
lot of people use it in
please.
the ignorant sense. It's not just one
But not
person.
everyone.
That's the
Most
thing.
people even don't. Like, right? Like, so.
Yeah, most people don't. And I know I was referencing Thomas Sowell. I forgot to mention Coleman Hughes. Coleman Hughes has actually made his career, just from my assessment, he's pretty much made his career on addressing colorblindness, and he's actually talked about this in depth with a multitude of people. He's actually been on The View to talk about that. So I'm going to link a video of that in the description as well so that you guys understand what I'm talking about. I'm also going to leave a link to the Black Rednecks versus White Liberals book by Thomas Sowell in the description below, so you guys get an understanding of where I'm coming from now versus where I was coming from then.
You're talking about a very specific kind of really ignorant way of using it, where someone says something fucking racist and they're trying to themselves like, oh, I don't see race, whatever. The point of that statement is that ideally, like our
Shut up,
society,
Cam.
like we have a troubled racial history.
Also, shout out to Cam, man. He came a long way too. Me and him kind of went on like a similar journey. It wasn't the exact same journey, but me and him kind of went on a similar journey. Still friends to this day. I actually messaged him and sent him the clip earlier before I started recording this. So yeah, just to bring him down memory lane. Me and his views aligned a lot. Even while we were a lot more left oriented, and as time progressed, our views sort of began to change as the political climate, and the Overton window began to shift and shit like that. But yeah, dude came a long way. He's definitely gonna say some shit in here that I'm not gonna agree with, and I guarantee you that if he looked at this back, he's gonna be like, dude, why the fuck did I say that? I mean, I know him like the back of my hand. There's no way he's not gonna look at this and cringe like I'm doing right now. My fat ass, bro. Look at this shit. Ugh.
Brother, ugh.
Right? Particularly between blacks and whites, right? There's other racial issues, but it's particularly between blacks and whites, right? And in an ideal world, the difference between blacks and whites would be the difference between blue eyes and brown eyes, right? But, we do have that history. But if you want to go towards that kind of perfect world, you don't go towards the perfect world by reinforcing these differences. You go towards that perfect world by getting past them. Like, you don't go towards the perfect world by saying, like, oh, yeah, American's a white guy and Hairdo's a black guy. You don't go towards that by reinforcing that, right? Like, yes, we can understand and grapple with the historical realities and implications, but we shouldn't be trying to reinforce those. And there's a really big problem trying to, like, emphasize these differences, right? Like, I mean, no joke, like, I never thought I would see this in my life, but like, segregation, right? I always thought like, dude, that's inherently fucking racist. That's horrible, right? But now we have a lot of like black student communities and colleges are insisting that they have black only sections, right?
I've
They're
heard so much
actually there's
about it.
black communities trying to say we should have segregation, right? They are reinforcing racial differences, right? And this is not something we should be going towards, right? Saying that I don't see race means that it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm ignorant, I have no clue, right? Like that's just fucking dumb ignorant shit, right? But what it means is that I don't treat anyone differently based on their skin color, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's literally what it means, and he's 100% correct. That just looking at the overall history of what we've seen, just with like segregation and redlining and all that shit, like we've come a long way from then compared to now. A lot of things have changed on a racial scale. Like you see just in our everyday life where you have people of different races, ethnicities, and cultural backgrounds having the ability to coexist without any without little to no refutation about it. You don't have as many people who are uncomfortable or who are scared to share spaces with different cultural backgrounds and different racial backgrounds as much as you did back in the day. I mean, I wouldn't know because I didn't live back then. I was born in 2002, but it was just based off of what I learned at school, based off of the stories that my grandparents and my great grandparents have told me about back in the day. Shit, I got it good. I got it good, and so do you. So do you. Everybody in society now has it astronomically better than what they had back in the day. So yeah, he's 100% correct that what we're looking at then compared to now, it's a whole lot better. And now with the segregation thing, you have a lot of these instances being reinforced, and rather than reinforcing it with the same motivation, is being reinforced with a somewhat similar motivation but with a twist to it. Is saying that we're going to essentially recreate some of these segregationist and separationist sort of policies while also making the people that we are separating from, that we are making people feel lesser than, feel like that they're the problem. So now that I frame it that way, it really is no different than it was back in the day, if we're being honest. But blatantly separating yourself or segregating yourself from white people and creating black only spaces and shit like that. Like what utility do you share for that? I understand that you want to be able to create spaces where you can be able to have that cultural resignation with your fellow man, and that's valid. That's valid. There are a lot of cases where I have cultural resignation, and we're gonna get into that later in the video as well. But that doesn't necessarily justify you blatantly wanting to create structures and create systems that are meant to keep you in and leave other people out because of historical occurrences and events that quite frankly you had fuck all to do with. Because let's be honest, a lot of these people that are advocating for this are around the same age bracket as me. They never grew up in that type of environment. So the fact that they're even trying to create the exact same environment but in this case to benefit them, and it's almost identical to the exact same environment that their grandparents have dealt with back in the day, that's not okay. I don't like. I could call my grandmother. I can't call her right now because she's knocked out. But if I were to call her right now and ask her, "Yo, if you saw this blatant segregation in public spaces, college dorms, some workspaces, like we could talk about EA Corporation and how they've been exposed for having a racially biased board or development team because and their motivation for it was because of historical instances of racism and people of color, I hate that terminology, feeling unsafe around their white co-workers and shit like that. If I were to call my grandmother and ask her if she would be okay with that, I guarantee you she would say no. I guarantee you she would say no. There's no doubt in my mind. So, yeah. All that to say, yeah, Tim is 100% correct here. Like, no doubt about it.
We should be
And
trying to
I-
bring
Well,
sticks together.
the thing is, and see, Tim, this is why I can sit up here and say that I do respect you. I may not, I may.
This is the part where I start glazing. Absolute fucking glaze. I'm gonna cringe, and so are you. I guarantee it.
May not agree with what you say, but I can still say that I respect you.
Fuck you, Tim. Fuck you. Love you though.
Because you can take that terminology and say, you know, I don't see color, and it could mean something totally different. But that doesn't negate the fact that when people use that terminology, it's merely circumstantial. And I gotta be honest with you, and I hate to use anecdotal evidence in this sense, but anecdotally speaking, the majority of the cases from which I've had this conversation with people, and they go straight to the "I don't see color" term. It's often out of spite, and it's often out of ignorance. People often use this terminology, like I said earlier, as pretty much a cop out, and essentially the reasoning behind, at least, well, I'm going to say this, and I'm probably incorrect, but the reason as to why people, or the reason as to why we have black only sections or black only schools, I think it was Harlem University. Yeah, Harlem University. It's pretty much.
I clearly had a fraction of brain cells then compared to now. But yeah, I'm referring to HBCUs for those who are who might be confused on that part. I'm talking about HBCUs. And the only reason why I referenced Harlem is because I saw an episode of Blackish way back when I was a kid, and I remember they did an episode on HBCUs, and Harlem University was one of the main universities that they referenced in that episode. You should check it out, by the way. Blackish was a good series. It was a really good series.
It's pretty much to justify that, you know, you got this next generation group of young African American students from all different walks of life who can still acknowledge the fact that we are black and we are proud, and that there is no problem with being different. And I think it's more of an internal cultural issue, because now not only, it's not just black people who all agree on the same pretense. You got black people that disagree on everything. In Harlem University, you got black Trump supporters. You got a variety of different people who disagree on the same thing. So culturally speaking,
This is also going to be anecdotal, not anecdotal based off of the fact that I don't have personal experience in this. I've never been to an HBCU. You know, I've only been to Oakland University, and that was for like 2 months. But go Grizzlies. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say that that's true, even, because based off of what I've seen mostly on the internet, HBCUs don't really allow a diverse array of thinking if it's not all centered back into that hive mindset. And what I mean by that is that if we actually look at the brain fart, when we actually look at the rhetoric and the ideologies that are mostly centered around HBCUs, that these ideologies mostly center themselves, again, anecdotally, don't have studies to back this up, but these HBCUs ideologically mostly center themselves around a more left-oriented position. So the idea of a black Trump supporter, or just a black conservative in general, wanting, just being they're allowed to be in that space, right? And they're going to be accepted initially with open arms in an HBCU, I would imagine. But once we start getting into the nitty gritty of ideology, and once they start to express themselves in that sphere, you're going to see a drastic decrease. You're going to see a huge impact on that perspective. And rather than it being a space where people are more open to ideas while also being quote unquote unapologetically black, you will still have a decrease in likelihood of you even coming across a black conservative, or not even just a black conservative, just any black individual that just thinks outside of that box, like outside of Black Lives Matter, outside of the Democratic plantation, outside of the hive mind, or whatever you want to refer to it as. You get what I'm saying? So it's really, I don't think that what I said there is true. I really think what I said there honestly was just coping. It was just me, framing an argument that just really, looking at it now based off of the experiences I have now versus the lack of experiences that I had back then, there's absolutely no way in hell that I would stand on that position. HBCUs are a lot more biased to black students and black professors that show a lot. Anything even steering that line of right wing, you get what I'm saying? It's not gonna be good for them. You're gonna get called an Uncle Tom. You're gonna get called a coon. You're gonna get called Sambo, sellout, bootlicker, whole 9 yards. The only reason I know this is because I've been referred to as this. So it's not fun. Trust me, it's really not fun. I wouldn't recommend it. If you go to an HBCU, hey, shout out to you. If you are somebody with a differing political ideology outside democraticism or liberalism or just leftism in general, and you go to an HBCU, definitely hats up to you, man. I can appreciate that 100%. Yeah, like you putting yourself in a fire and you're surviving that. So I can definitely appreciate something like that.
We have to be able within ourselves to make a distinguishment of how we can settle our
Distinguishment.
differences amongst
I
ourselves,
don't even know if
whether
that's a
it be
word.
opinionated differences, so on and so forth, and then we can get to the nitty gritty from beyond the spectrum. You know what I'm saying? That's
Hardy,
why.
you shouldn't be proud of being black like I shouldn't be proud of being white.
Base
It
Texan,
you,
talk your
you shouldn't
shit.
be proud of your skin tone.
On the
It's my
contrary, if I
it's my
on the
choice.
on the con-
By the way, just so we're clear, there are a couple of people who are also in this call that don't have their cameras on. I believe the person that just spoke, I recognize that voice anyway. That was Texan. That was Texan 100%. Shout out to Texan. You'll see him in the server as well. And then I think Mike was in here as well. I might hear Mike in here. But yeah, based. Absolutely. You shouldn't be proud of your skin color. Like why would that matter?
on the contrary, like I gotta be honest with you, bro. Like when and I'm a diehard Marvel fan. Like I've
True.
been
Still
digging
to this
Marvel
day.
since I was a fucking
Marvel all
child,
day.
bro.
Marvel
But
all day.
and I've always knew about the Black Panther, but there was something that made me internally grateful when the Black Panther movie came out,
Yep. Yep.
because because
Yep.
it just, even though Wakanda isn't a real place, and all these different things are merely fictional, it still got to the nitty gritty of how finally we can look at a movie that pretty much kind of simplifies how where we originated from, the richness of our culture, of our African culture, where we came from, how we prospered, and the mentality that everybody can, this worth ethnic mentality that we have amongst our culture. It's amazing to me. That's why I can sit up here and say, no matter what you tell me, I'm proud to be black, and I would not have it any other way.
I wanna.
I can see what I'm saying there. First of all, yeah, absolutely, 100% a Marvel fan, and the premise that I was operating off of when referencing the Black Panther movie, and even looking at the second one, even though it wasn't as great compared to the first one, that's definitely true. It still resonates. Also, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Uh, just rest in peace, man. I've gone too soon. But yeah, it's definitely something that would resonate on a cultural self because, and this just keep in mind, I didn't know my ancestral background or my ethnic background until around a couple years ago when a personal friend of mine actually offered to just pay for my whole bundle in so I can find out where I'm from genetically and yeah, I'm gonna leave an image of that. I know I still have it on my phone somewhere, so I'm definitely gonna leave an image of that. Um, but yeah, the culture shock and just the feeling behind it. Like I said, the work ethic, the richness, all of that was being observed in the Black Panther movie, which was something that I still appreciate years later. I think it came out. That movie had to come out in like 2018 or some shit like that, and I remember, I still remember to this day what it was like when the movie ended and all the stars was playing in the credits and just walking out of that movie theater just was like, yeah, man, yeah, you feel me? Like that was tough. That was a tough feeling. I'd do anything to live in that moment again. But the conclusion that I drew from that, I don't think that even this was enough for me to quote unquote be proud to be black. You get what I'm saying? Um, it may it may have made me feel, but it makes me feel proud to know where I'm from ethnically, and it makes me want to investigate more into that. But when we're comparing and contrasting that to a more meritocratic basis, it really is relevant to who I am as an individual. I have cultural experiences of, just growing up in, you know, Detroit and, being around my cousins, and then also growing up in a more privileged setting later on in life and still being able to have that cultural experience in spite of that. There still it still doesn't really have much to do with who I am as an individual and the character that I am continuing to build as we speak. I'm only 22, so I'm still growing. Like I said, I was 19 and this video had to be. So, I mean, great growth happens, but my message to anybody who would be looking at something like this, don't be that person to just fucking use your race to one up anybody. Like don't do that shit. That shit is so that shit is so taboo. Don't do that.
Further put that into perspective. You see, taking it from, and you, of course, you can go ahead and quote me and say that I'm wrong, but taking it from, say, a white person's perspective, in terms of your history, your ancestry came from Europe. You know exactly.
Cam, Cam, I'm never going to look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Nigga, I'm never going to live that down, right? I'm never going to live that down. Because who the fuck told you that it was pronounced ancestry? Who told you that? Bro, no. And I'm so glad Zorgi called you out on that. Because what the fuck were you talking about? Bro, dude, wrong word, Cam. Wrong word, dude. No.
Please. and hyper focus on the
A. Please. Ancestry, not in. And I hope I don't get demonetized. I hope that word's not a banned word. But my channel isn't that big anyway, so it wouldn't matter. But
Your ancestry came from Europe. In terms of being in terms of being like a Caucasian, say like a typical American, right? That ancestry came from Europe.
It's okay when you're talking about Europeans.
Yep. That was Mike. Shout out to Mike, man. Love you, bro.
Sense of beginning and belonging. You guys know your history and where it comes from. You see, I don't know.
Not really.
Well, hold on. I don't know many of my grandfathers at all. In fact, I don't.
That's a weird thing to assume too. Like, yeah, I know this is supposed to be a video about debunking me, but since Cam was in the same position as me, I guess I'm going to debunk him as well. Yeah, that's not true. You wouldn't know that. How would you know that? You don't know half of the motherfuckers that are in this call, let alone everybody in the United States, every white person in the United States. So how would you be able to determine whether or not somebody actually knows their ancestral background? Um, I'll probably have to look this up while I'm editing this video, but if I'm not mistaken, it's actually not that common even for white Americans. They probably know their ancestral background more, but it's probably not as common compared to the rest of the white American population. So while there might be disproportions involved, it's just to assume that there is a commonality of knowing your genetic background. A lot of these people don't know their background past their great grandparents, dude. So it's real. I don't even see that as being true.
Know exactly where I come from. In fact, I don't even fucking I have zero relevance and relation to anything in regards to where my genetics come from. And to be able to see that culture be displayed to me, even though I have no relation to it, no relevance to it, it for some reason gives me a sense of belonging, that I feel that something I feel in a very weird way at home, where of course I could be completely wrong because I don't know the other perspective, where the difference is there's a lot of Americans that feel completely at home here in the United States. Everything was built from the ground up. The founding fathers, you resonate and relate with them, right?
But these are ideas.
It's
They're
about
ideas
ideas.
embedded in the culture. Like it's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
like,
but
oh
the thing
yes,
is
about
that
whites.
right.
Those
But
whites,
personally,
Thomas Jefferson and George Washington.
but the thing is,
you know?
the thing is, but the thing is, my ancestors and my family adopted culture. It didn't, I mean, everyone adopts
most of us
culture, right?
did
Yeah.
too.
Let me change. Well, everyone adopts culture, right? But in terms of
I'll
where
say,
that
please
culture
walk that
comes
back.
from,
Nah, for real. I was about to say, please walk that statement back, because everybody adopts culture. Like that's not even a joke. That's actually fucking true. Like, yeah, black people adopted culture, but hey, so do white people. As a matter of fact, let's just come here, come here. Last time I checked, isn't it true that a lot of people actually argue that white people uh tend to steal from black culture? So are you sure you want to stick with that argument about quote unquote adopting culture and that it only being a black thing? I'm pretty sure everybody does it, and in some aspects, a lot of that cultural identity tends to be stolen. So, yeah, just that's all I had to say.
it typically makes sense that it comes from a source of many different things, right? Your genetics, your location, right? People who are Asian typically identify with an Asian culture because of the fact that their genetics come from a certain location, right? If that makes sense. People who are
That
East Asian typically identify with
I
the cultures of with cultures in Japan,
I get what you're
China,
I
saying,
don't think
Korea,
that's
Sam.
actually.
right?
Probably, maybe. I'm pretty sure Tim's probably gonna dispute this claim that Cam's making here, but assuming that that's true, that Asians generally gather around other Asians, like Japanese gathering around Japanese, Chinese with Chinese, Koreans with Koreans, whatever you want to, whatever example you want to go by. So what? So the fuck what? Yeah, there's going to be a sense of cultural belonging for people that look like them. But then after you get that feeling of cultural belonging, you actually get to know these people as their character shows. It's not going to that sense of belonging, that sense of feeling at home as you mentioned isn't going to be like that anymore. Where you find home is with people that you can relate to, not only on a racial level. You can relate to somebody on, I don't even think you should be relating to anybody on a racial level. Cultural, perhaps, yeah, definitely cultural level. But on a racial level, no. I'm not friends with you because you're black. I'm friends with you because I got love for you, bro. And yes, I'm talking to you, Cam. I don't need to lecture you on this because you don't. I'm almost certain that you don't hold these exact same views. But just for the sake of conversation, I'm not friends with you because you're black. I'm friends with you because I have love for you and I know who you are on a character basis, and based off of the conversations that we've had just over the past 3-4 years, I know that me and you relate on almost a fundamental level. Like, legitimately brothers in arms, even though we've only met on the internet. We haven't met in person yet. So it's not, it really is irrelevant. Like I mentioned earlier, so what? We only got 3 more minutes in this video. I'm going to wrap it up soon.
True, by the way. I'm sorry, this is really important. That's not true. When we talk about
I'm not
Asian...
saying I'm not saying in every sense. I said
No. There's as a generality, Asian Americans, when they first come here, yeah, they do identify largely with their home culture, but the children of Asian immigrants largely identify as American, and their ties with their home culture very quickly are evaporate.
Well, the thing is that I feel this the very same way as well. But what I'm saying is that when they watch a movie like Mulan, right? And the thing is I can't speak for them, but I'm just making an assumption. Of course, somebody could always call me out on it, and I'm completely fine with getting, corrected. But I would assume that if they were to watch a movie like Mulan, which would be their Black Panther for me, that they would feel a sense of at home, where
The jokes write themselves. He said Black Panther. Black Panther. Hey. Think about it. The jokes write themselves.
there's a cultural beginning of where something that relates to them very much, as in their genetics and where it comes from. It's something that they can relate to, and they can see it with their own eyes, and they can
setting aside Mulan itself,
identify
which was widely panned for being like just ridiculous and not.
I also wanted to say Mulan wasn't that good a movie.
No, not the.
That's a crazy take, by the way. The live action one was nothing compared to the animated one, but even that one was good. Tim, I swear, Tim's just a fucking hater, bro. He always says contrarian shit just to get people riled up. Mulan was a great movie. Don't listen to him, bro.
Mulan, not the new Mulan.
No, the original.
I mean, they're both rather
The good shit. The good shit.
Although I will say, I don't know. I'll have to watch Mulan, the original, again, just to see if my suspicions are great. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney did create a movie that was centered around Asian culture, to pander towards a particular group, because that's what they tend to do. Disney and pandering are almost like fucking hand in hand. Like that's what they do. They pander to specific groups just for a cash grab. I doubt it's really for that sense of cultural belonging. It's just really corporatism. That's a deflection. That's neither here or there.
I mean, to be fair, like old Disney movies were not the fucking most progressive in the first place. But regardless, what I'm saying is that there's definitely tons of art and tons of different medias out there that portray, culture and the expression of it. And there's a lot of people who identify who may not necessarily directly relate to it, but they have a sense of belonging or beginning with it. And that's how I felt when I watched Black Panther. The thing I've never fucking seen, or even I know very little about fucking Africa. And it's crazy to think that as little as I know and as little as I can relate, that I could still look at it and feel a sense of belonging. It's in a very weird way. It can be obviously how do I say it? It can be I don't want to say proven, but it can be whatever. It can be basically you can make an understanding out of it, but in a weird way, it feels very special to me. That's something that I have no relations, no relativity to. I feel very.
Oh, that's it. Okay. So, yeah, I guess the clip was cut short. Yeah, it's only a 13-minute long video, but yeah, man, it's interesting to see the change in perspective over the years, and it's not like it's been that long time. It's like back in the day when I went through that cringe name on Discord. This was me fresh out of a different political server where it was a lot more toxic. But even during this time, I was on the left. Like I remember um, the day after, not the day, like literally, probably about like several hours after I had graduated from high school. Um, Me and my older sister, whom I haven't seen in years prior to that day. Uh, Me and her decided to hang out, and there was a there was a BLM protest that was literally happening that exact same day that I had graduated. I remember it. It was actually it was in Sterling Heights, Michigan. Um, Damn, what's that mall called? It wasn't no, not Great Lakes Crossing. You move to Texas and then you forget where you came from. God damn, dude. Lakeside Mall. The protest was at Lakeside Mall, and it was a BLM protest. Me, my sister, um, and some old friends of mine that we actually bumped into at the protest were there, and I remember I remember being there, and I remember being in that environment. And this was when I was, like I said earlier, a lot more left wing on an ideological basis, even though I didn't want to admit it back in the day. Um, During that, I remember towards the end of that protest when everything was wrapping up, it was peaceful. Nothing bad happened. But when everything was wrapping up, we were going to all disband in prayer, and it was strange for me to witness this because I knew it was wrong. But when we were disbanding, mind you, Sterling Heights is a mostly white populated area, but in this particular case, you had a more diverse group of people. You had black people, Asians, Middle Easterns, whatever the case may be, right? While we were disbanding, you had this white kid, had to be around the same age as me. We were going to, just give a benediction, send everybody else out in prayer, and just pray for people and make sure that everybody gets home safely. And before the kid could even start praying and covering everybody with the shield of God, literally you had people that were screaming at him, and they were saying, "Why is the white kid benedicting the protest? Why can't it be a black person benedicting the protest?" And in that moment, like I peeped that, and I remember it was like it had to be like this Chaldean guy, had to be like in his early to mid 20s, and he was yelling at a kid, going off on him because he was white, a part of a BLM protest that he probably helped organize, quite frankly, and was benedicting and praying a covering of God over everybody that participated, and was asking God to make sure everybody get home safe. Which I received that prayer, by the way, and I thank you for that. Um, yeah, that was a strange experience to me because I knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong then, and I know for a fact that it was wrong today because there was an inherent racial bias that was even being displayed during that protest, where you had people who were obviously who were obviously dealing with racial tensions and were you know, everybody was confused, everybody was angry, everybody was stressed out. It's a variety of issues that was going on. And mind you, this was not too long after George Floyd. I think this was probably like a month after he had got shot. And the tensions were high, 100%. So just witnessing something like that was, I think that was probably the first eye opener that, okay, something was wrong. And even then, it took me, you know, a couple years after that to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to distance myself from this ideology entirely and just move towards a pursuit of truth and objectivity. That way, I won't have to worry about myself having an inherent bias within my own ideology, and also be able to address everything as truth oriented as possible, even if it means that I'm going to have a lot of people that disagree with what I'm saying, if not literally hate me for the statements and the arguments that I make going into the future. But yeah, just seeing myself then versus seeing myself now. First of all, my fat ass, I was fat as hell, man. I had to be like 300 pounds around that. You could see it all in the face, dude. I was heavy, dude. Um, since then, I shrunk down probably around 250, 255 pounds now. So yeah, that was just all a good diet. I haven't really exercised really, but yeah, that as well as just being in that new environment where it's not on a written thread sort of form, like I'm actually verbalizing my arguments to other people live over a Discord call and arguing off of that. I have to give myself some credit that I did come a long way, and that I do appreciate the journey in the pursuit of being an intellectual, as cringe as that may sound. That yes, it's definitely great to know that I have over the years developed a lot more wisdom, a lot more intelligence, and just a pursuit of objectivity overall. I can appreciate that much about myself. What I can't appreciate is the amount of times that I used words that I don't even know what fucking mean at the time. Like, bruh. But hey, that was then. This is now. I'm a whole different dude. I'm a whole different dude now, man. So yeah. That's the end of the video. It is currently 8:04 now, finishing this recording, and knowing me, I'm probably gonna get right into editing after I'm done recording. So yeah, if you see this video, appreciate y'all for enduring almost an hour of this review. Like I said, I just wanted to look at it, watch it with y'all, since I know what I'm doing with YouTube now. Just wanted to give it a look, react to it, review it, debunk some of it, give my new arguments to it now. And yeah, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, comment me your thoughts. Do you agree with the old me, or do you agree with the new me? I'm interested to hear your perspective. Some of y'all already have me on Discord, so hey, feel free to just DM me and give me your thoughts about that. You know, I'm willing to hear you out. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.